Perfect. You want me to start?
We are now live. We have 71 people on the line. Andrew, I'm going to request that you continue to let people in, and we are good to go.
Got it.
Daniel, you're on.
Hi, welcome everyone. My name is Daniel Newell. I'm the director of the Career Center for Ohlone College, and I also oversee the Alameda County Small Business Development Center. I want to thank you for attending today. Due to the COVID-19 situation, we were unable to organize a traditional career fair. This is the second in a series of virtual recruiting events we're calling Career Bytes, a bite-sized look into your future. I want to acknowledge the institutions that have made Career Bytes possible. The Career Center at Ohlone College, Career Services Center at Mission College, North City's Career Center at the College of Alameda for Peralta Community College District, the Tri-Valley Career Center for Chabot Las Positas Community College District, Eden Area America's Job Center of California in Hayward, and today's co-host, the City of Fremont. The host will introduce today's employers. I want to mention that all career centers mentioned are still open for business. Today we have a special guest joining us who would like to say a few words. I would like to introduce Fremont Mayor Lily May.
Hi. Good morning or good afternoon. It seems like all of our times seem to fly together now, especially when we're dealing with this COVID challenge. But I wanted to thank all of you who have taken this opportunity to join us today. We realize that right now with the changing dynamics, that there's a lot of needs, in particular looking for employment. And therefore, we have also pivoted in terms of our abilities and working with our partners such as Ohlone College and the many different Tri-City health career organizations to help us in terms of looking at how do we communicate these opportunities to all of you. We realize that in this time period, there's not just the awareness of these opportunities, but also the awareness of potential for upskilling. And so today we have two of our biotech companies. And that's something that we're really fortunate in Fremont as a city to be part of, is that we have over 900 manufacturers. And this ecosystem allows us to have the flexibility to address some of the most critical needs in a pandemic like this. And as we are trying to aggressively address those situations, we're able to then have employment opportunities, which may not have always been as well known. And therefore, this is why we have this forum. And I know that everybody is using Zoom and different vehicles. And this is just an opportunity. This is our second of a series of these opportunities to be able to share with you what there is here in Fremont, as well as in other communities. But in particular, this one, I have to thank Daniel, as well as the Ohlone College Tri-Cities Career Center, as well as finally, I can't say enough of Tina Kapoor and our economic development group. One of the things that makes Fremont stand out, I think, compared to other cities, is that we don't believe in just welcoming you to our city, because that's just the beginning. It's the insurance that you have a partner in making sure that you succeed. And we're here with you to work with local agencies to ensure that we have the support that's needed. Everything from getting the permitting standing. And I want to give a big shout out for our staff at the City of Fremont for be able to launch Biogenics in a process that normally takes 4 to 5 months to stand a company facility. We were able to do it in less than 1 week with an emergency city council meeting too. And this is all because our economic development department in partnership believes in not just getting you here, but ensuring that you succeed for the long term. So today, I just wanted to say thank you for allowing us this opportunity. I thank Enovix as well as Evolve Manufacturing Technologies for showcasing and sharing their opportunities today. And I wish you all the best, and please be well and stay healthy.
Thank you, Mayor May, for your kind words. I'd like to introduce Tina Kapoor, who would like to give a few introductions from the city, share a few words, and introduce our first employer for the day.
Thank you so much, Harshdeep.
Thank you, Mayor May. Thank you, Harshdeep. Hello, everyone. My name is Tina Kapoor. I work with the City of Fremont Office of Economic Development. And that was a fabulous overview of the business environment in Fremont that Mayor May just gave. Thank you again for taking the time, Mayor May, to welcome our participants today. I don't have anything else to add. I want to get right to it quickly, but I would like to thank again for Ohlone thinking out of the box creatively and bringing employers and job seekers face to face. These are challenging times, and there are definitely bright spots along the way, and I'm very happy to be a partner in this. I'll also like to welcome all the attendees today and thank you for taking an hour of your time to get to know two fabulous companies in Fremont, Evolve Manufacturing and Enovix. So before I introduce the first speaker, I do want to take a quick moment to share some of the resources with you. Harshdeep, if you don't mind kind of sharing that right now.
Yeah, no worries.
So if you are a business in Fremont or if you work at one of the companies in Fremont, there is a website that we have dedicated for all the resources that we know of in Fremont locally and also around from other parts of the region and country. So you can bookmark the fremont.gov/COVID-biz resources. And we also have a hotline in Fremont. If you are trying to get in touch with me and our team in economic development, there's a phone number and email address. You can get in touch with us. We are monitoring and responding to this hotline on a daily basis. And now let's get to it. It's my pleasure to introduce our first speaker of the day, Florence Chen. She will tell you all about Enovix in a second, but let me tell you a little bit about her. Florence Chen is the Director of Business Development and Operations and Acting Talent Acquisition Manager at Enovix. She started her career as a manufacturing engineer and has since worked in program management, marketing, product management, business operations, business development, and corporate strategy. She has also served as a mentor for early stage technology startups, as well as local small businesses. Florence has a PhD in photovoltaic engineering. Very impressive. Take it away, Florence.
Hi, thank you, Tina, and thank you, Ohlone College and everyone who hosts this and having us. It's really great to be here. And so we are Enovix, and thank you, Tina, for the introduction. My name is Florence. Enovix is located in Fremont in California, so we're just really proud and honored to be calling Fremont our home because the city of Fremont definitely has been very supportive in terms of helping us get through what we need, and they're very responsive. Special thanks to Tina, as well as Christina Briggs, who has been very responsive and helpful throughout this whole startup journey. So let me tell you a little bit about Enovix and the kind of job openings that we have. So I have a deck that I'm gonna share. Just let me find it. Just give me a second. And obviously I'm standing in front of our building. I love that feature about Zoom. So
Perfect.
all right, are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so we are hiring. So as I mentioned, Enovix is located in Fremont, and again, just really happy that Fremont is our home. Everyone's been so helpful. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Enovix. So we were established in year 2007, so we have been around for about 13 years now. So even though we are calling ourselves a startup, we've kind of been around a long time, and we're finally coming out of the stealth mode. And so we combine, basically what we do is we combine our expertise in our 3D architecture, and we make advanced battery technology and high volume production that we're going to scale up this year. So far, we have raised about $200 million of funding, and it's based on strategic partner, venture capitalists, and some of our customers as well, who have been providing us the fund to get to where we are. So we're really thankful to them. And we have a pretty strong IP portfolio. We have 70 patents that have already been issued, and we have 40 more that are pending. So we're really creating, the IP really help us create enterprise value and help us build a strong competitive barrier. In terms of our target segment, we have 4 key target segments in the short term. These are all electronic consumer segments, such as wearables, cell phones, tablets, and laptops. And we have tier 1 OEM customers, as well as tier 1 manufacturing partners who we are working JDA with to help us scale. So that's a quick summary of Enovix. I think the other thing that I wanted to point out is right now we are about 85 people in the company, and our plan for this year alone in year 2020 is to add another 90 to 95 people. So we're definitely hiring. We are still hiring. We're going full steam ahead in hiring despite of the COVID-19 environment. And we have been featured in quite a few different media. So analysts and media call us a pioneer and leader in silicon anode technology because of our patented 3D cell architecture. So as I mentioned, we make advanced lithium ion batteries. And one of the key differentiator that we have is that we use almost 100%, we use 100% silicon as our anode, which gives us an advantage in terms of high energy density. So that means the battery can last longer. That means we can enable power hungry features that our customer may want to roll out, but may not be able to roll out because the battery life is too short. And now we're extending that battery life, they can start rolling out some cool features that will require more power. So we've been featured in Wall Street Journal, Bloomberg, IEEE for our technical stuff, and Quartz, and Lux Research. So I just want to, this is the only technical slide that I have in this whole deck, but just want to give you a quick idea on the product that we make. So we make our battery in a different way. And the way we are different is really in our cell architecture. Here is a kind of an SEM or X-ray picture of a traditional prismatic lithium ion cell. And you can see that the electrodes are jelly rolled together. So that's the traditional way of making lithium ion batteries. And the way we make it is different in the sense that we actually stack our electrode together. So this is a cross section of our electrodes. And then we put a stainless steel constraint to help put our, keep the pressure of the electrode together, because one of the problem with silicon anode is that it has the expansion problem. And to address that, we use a stainless steel constraint to help maintain that, so that the electrode will stay intact and we still have good long cycle life. So that's kind of just a quick overview of the product that we make. And as I mentioned, we are targeting right now in consumer electronic segments. So that's wearables, which also includes AR, VR, and smartwatch. We have mobile devices and communication devices, and we have laptops and notebooks. Our long-term goal in a 3 to 5 years horizon is to also get into the electrical vehicle markets, the EV markets, where obviously the battery is a key component for that market as well. So because of our unique design and our architecture, we are able to increase the capacity of the battery compared to the traditional way of doing batteries. So for smaller devices, it's up to 85% increase. And then for larger devices, it's about almost 30% increase. We are, as I mentioned earlier, we are currently in the middle of ramping up our first factory, which is in Fremont. So it's actually, this is our current office area, and we have some space in the building that we can put in our first factory here. So the overall area is 52,000 square feet. And the capacity of this first factory is gonna be 8 million cells per year, which is about 90 megawatt hour per year. So it's a very exciting time. We are right now ordering tools. Tools gonna come in later this year. We're gonna ramp up, we have customer sign up. So that's why we are really expanding fast. And it's just a really exciting time to be at Enovix, because we've been in stealth mode and mostly in R&D mode, but now we're switching into manufacturing mode, and we have customer sign on, and then it's just, things are going really quick, really crazy, and it's just super exciting. Just want to quickly mention our leadership team. We have Harold, who is our CEO, Ashok, our CTO, and Cam, who is our COO. And you will notice that our leadership team, they all have previous experience in operations or manufacturing or engineering in companies that are known, right? So well known. So for example, IBM, quite a few of our founders came from IBM. Chuck comes from SunPower and Cypress Semiconductor, and he has ramped up numerous, probably like 20 different factories across the nation. So very experienced in that. And with Jerry, who was in Motorola, mobile devices, and he has a lot of experience in the consumer electronic space to help us navigate that market. So our founders are solid, and they come from operational and engineering background and really know how to run the company well. Live at Enovix, so we have competitive compensation and benefits, and I would say we have really great work-life balance. Despite the fact that we're a startup, everyone has great work-life balance. I feel like the work-life balance is actually better than some of the corporates that I've worked at in the past. So it's something that's really unique. We have winter party. We every autumn or fall, we have a vineyard harvest festival. So one of our key investor, he owns a vineyard, and he would invite us to harvest the grapes. And so we get to actually cut the grapes and get to squish and sort the grapes and squish the grapes and and learn about the process of turning grapes into wine. We get a whole tour. We get free food, it's just a really festive festival. And then every year we also have baseball games. So the whole team goes out to watch a baseball game, which is a lot of fun as well. And of course, aside from these kind of events, the team gel really well together, and we actually spend time even outside work. We hang out, we go for a drink not every Friday, but some Fridays we will have craft beer. So the work life is really good balance there at Enovix, and I personally really enjoy working at Enovix. So as I mentioned, we are hiring. We are hiring to scale the production of our lithium-ion battery for commercialization. So we have all sorts of roles that are open. So just quickly, a couple of ones that I want to feature. We're going to hire quite a few of technicians, whether it's equipment technicians, process technicians, or operators on the line, or QA technicians, FA technicians, all sorts of technicians. We're also hiring equipment engineers. We have about 6 equipment engineers opening right now across different kind of tool sets, from row to automation to printing and whatnot. And of course, the process engineers that complement with the equipment engineers. We're also looking for mechanical engineers, new product introduction engineers, mechanical engineering managers. So we also have some managerial role that we have open. Characterization and FA, supply chain. We're looking for a head of HR as well, people operations. So we have all sorts of roles open across both technical and non-technical. And if you want to find out more, visit our website, because all of the jobs are posted there. And also we are posting some of the jobs on LinkedIn as well. So definitely visit the website, check us out, and check out our LinkedIn job posting as well. And if you have any questions, I'll be leaving my contact information, and so you can reach out to me for any further questions. And I think this is my last slide, so I'll just leave it up here and open up to any Q&A.
Thank you, Florence. I think we're going to do Q&A after both the presentations. So if everyone can just
Sure.
Yeah, so what we'll do now is we'll transition into Matt's presentation with Evolve. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stop your screen share. I'd like to introduce Matt Pollock from Evolve Manufacturing. Thank you for being with us today, Matt. I just want to highlight that these companies are very exciting. They're doing some amazing work, but something specifically about Evolve is that they're one of the companies that have redirected their resources to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. So I don't want to take that away from you, Matt. I'm going to let you comment on that. So I'll hand off the presentation to you. So thank you, Matt, for being with us, and the floor is yours.
Thank you. It's good to be here. Thanks for having me. My name is Matt Pollock. I'm the Senior Director of Quality at Evolve Manufacturing. We're also located here in Fremont. We've been working with Tina and the mayor for quite some time now. It's been great to have their support. I have a little bit of a presentation to show you guys, but before I do, my background is in mechanical engineering. That's my educational background. I've been working with medical devices for about 15 years now. For the last 3 years, I've been at Evolve. Again, great support from the city, working with Ohlone College on getting some internships lined up already, and making a big difference from a medical device perspective. So let me share my screen. Go. So this is Evolve. This is the front door. It's always blue skies in California. Evolve has been around for about 21 years. We're finally old enough to drink as a company. Again, located here in Fremont. Most of what we do is biotech and medtech. We're a contract manufacturer, so we build devices for other people that don't have the room or the expertise to do it themselves. We do a lot of surgical robotics, electromechanical and fluidic assemblies. We have clean rooms for sterile products and disposables. And as was mentioned, we've really ramped up recently to help out with the COVID. We're building testing kits here, which I'll talk about pretty soon, as well as ramping up 2 different lines to build ventilators and a few other COVID-related diagnostic and support equipment. This is a little bit out of date. The city had 60 employees. I think we're up to 90. We've hired, I think, about 30 employees in the last 2 weeks. And we're still hiring. Here's a smattering of what we make. You can see there's some large robotic equipment there in the middle. On the bottom left, there's some disposable implantables for surgical spine implants. A lot of fluidics, a lot of pumps, a lot of very complex things to manufacture that are life-saving devices. Here's the robot, one of the biggest robots that we worked on. This is actually a surgical robotic that goes in and makes very, very exacting cuts and skin removal procedures, something that a human couldn't do. You can see there's a lot that goes into it, a lot of complex machinery and electricity and circuitry and fluidics that we need to boil down to be manageable when we do this in our manufacturing line, so it's repeatable. Because it's an FDA approved device, it has to work perfectly every single time. Here's a line of some of the work we do on surgical implants. This is in our clean room. Of course, we have lots of different gowns and gloves and hairnets to make sure we don't get the contaminants on any product. After this, they get pouched and then sterilized, actually here in Fremont as well at Steritech. This is an MRI machine that we built in the past. Again, very complex, very expensive equipment. This is for cancer detection and treatment. We also do consumer electronics. These are just server racks that we've done before. Still complex, even if it's not a life-saving device, we still make sure it follows the same level of scrutiny. At the end, we always test. We have different tilt tests there. There's some visual inspection and leak tests we do, as an example. And we have different modalities for testing incoming inspection as well on raw materials. Either with a coordinate measurement machine, you can see there on the left, or a visual one on the right that really allows you to get into a lot of detail very quickly with a lot of different parts. Everything we do, if it's a medical device, is very well regulated. The FDA is a big part of our life. We have different international standards that we look to. So the work that we do here, and especially my job in quality, is to make sure that everything we make is safe. I actually personally have a medical device implanted. So to me, it's a very important thing for me to make sure we do this right. We have an online portal too. We've digitized a lot of what we do. We're going paperless in a lot of our systems, linking in sensors and online portals for our customers so they can see everything that we do. So it's not just using a lot of soldering and wrenches and glue. There's a lot of roles that we have in support, including IT. And that's probably our fastest growing area right now is information systems. So with all of that, that all feeds into what we do at Evolve. We have a lot of different roles here, and right now we're hiring in almost all of them. We have supply chain, where we're looking at distribution, at order fulfillment. We have a lot of buyers and planners, working with our vendors to get the right price, to make sure we have the economies of scale. Right now with the ventilators, it's the biggest thing, and the testing kits, the biggest thing is supply chain availability. We're having issues where the simple thing is a swab they use for collecting a saliva sample, we're running out as a country. So working with vendors to ramp their self up so they can support our line so we can keep on supporting the fight against COVID. We have a new product introduction as a main part of what we do as well. We have a lot of design for manufacturability, a lot of design for serviceability. We use a lot of lean principles, a lot of Six Sigma, 5S, all these things that help us be very consistent in our manufacturing. Even if manufacturing has a lot of steps that are consistent, there's a lot of science and automation that goes into supporting that. That's where most of our overhead and our engineering team, they work on all the systems that support manufacturing. We have validation work to make sure our processes are consistent. We have sterile barrier packaging for the parts we do in the clean room that later get sterilized. And then of course we have our manufacturing. Everything we do is documented. We have objective evidence for everything because that's required by the FDA. We get audited almost monthly by either an auditing company or a customer. We really need to make sure we're above reproach in every way. We can help out with a lot of the documentation for our customers. So there's a lot of engineering that goes into that, some reverse engineering. And then we support post-production as well. After the machines are built, we still support them when they're in the field. So we have a repair depot where we can bring product back for servicing and upgrades. We do failure analysis. We have a biohazard lab in case there's blood or any human tissue on it. And we can help manage the spare parts for the people that are working in the field to repair these devices. So overall, our organization has a lot of different levels, and I'll go to our website next so you can see what we're hiring for. But just to give, again, an overview, a lot of times when we do hiring, we look at behavioral. We do a behavioral test through predictive index. It's a way for us to know if you fit the job you're applying for. A lot of times we'll have really good people that are very hard workers, they're just not in the right seat. We don't want to get rid of them, we just want to put them in a seat where they'll flourish, something that makes it so it comes naturally to them. So for all of these different roles, we have expectations on behavior and personality. Leadership in sales is very different from quality engineering and manufacturing engineering. But we do have roles available both in quality, in manufacturing, in project management, incoming inspection, receiving and purchasing. So it really is, as you're all looking at this slide, thinking about which one suits you best. We do have different expectations in your education for some of these, but a lot of it just comes down to being able to learn quickly, working well with others. For us, it's being humble, hungry, and people smart. Those are the big three things that we always hire for. All right, let me share our website real fast so I can show you a little bit more about Evolve. So this is evolve.com. As you can see, we're on the front lines. We've even got a Fremont quote here from Christina Briggs. And if you guys are really kind of bored, you can take a look. We've got a lot of articles about us recently and how we're stepping up to fight COVID-19. If you click the Apply Now button, it'll take you to our careers page where you can see all the different open positions. And we're still updating this right now. There's more open positions as we go. Assembler, technician. These are the guys directly building the products that are used against COVID-19, either assembling testing kits, which looks as simple as something like this. It's got a nice biohazard label on there. The ventilators, which are much more complex, to other COVID-related products that take up to 14 hours to build a single unit. Material handlers we have that support all the lines to make sure that they have the supplies necessary to output as many materials as possible. Manufacturing engineering to make sure that manufacturing processes are consistent, that we have the right tooling and validations. This one's a great one with lean, DFM, and 5S experience. Document control, because we have so much, all of this for the COVID is medical device. It's highly regulated, which means we have documentation for everything. And records that are quality records that must be maintained in a certain way. So we have a document control specialist role. It's very important to us. If you want to work directly for me, we've got a quality manager role that's open. This one needs a little bit more experience, but it's still, there's a lot we can do on that one. And then we have production lead and production supervisor. These two are probably the most important roles we're hiring for right now. The production lead and supervisor lines, or supervisor positions, lead the manufacturing lines directly. So they've got up to 20 different people reporting to them. We're opening up first and second shift right now, and we'll have a third shift coming up soon. But this is on the line building thousands of these test kits. Right now we're building about 15,000 test kits a day. For the ventilators, we hope to get up to about 10,000 ventilators a week by this summer. Support staff on this, we have a program manager that's open for hire and a buyer. And all you have to do is come to this website, fill out the application, pretty easy. You can see there's a few new roles that are listed on here that we need to update. What shift do you want to work in? And then either provide a LinkedIn, which I would assume everyone on this call has a LinkedIn profile. If you don't, please go make one, or at least you have a resume. If you have neither, you can always type in your information directly. You click submit and it'll take you to another page where we do the behavioral assessment. From there, we'll bring you in for an interview if everything looks good. We actually perform COVID-19 tests on new hires as a gate to employment. We need to make sure everybody that's here is healthy and make sure that we don't bring in any infection into the work environment. You can see I'm wearing a mask. We hand out masks every day and gloves. We've actually partitioned our building into 5 different zones. So we have big painters tarp up with masking tape and zipper entrances so we don't have people wandering around throughout our building. We've actually made it so everyone gets checked with their temperature every morning. Like I said, everyone's been tested for COVID, and we have different entrances, restrooms, and kitchenette areas that are linked to the production areas to make sure that even if one area does have someone that's infected and we need to shut it down to test everybody, the rest of the company can keep on moving. It also is a safer thing for us. I don't interact with people as much directly as I used to. We do Zoom meetings even inside the office. We've got these cute little pink walkie-talkies for easy communication. We make it so it's as safe of a workplace as possible, even in these trying times, because for us, it's really important. As we're helping fight COVID, we don't want to go down at all. We want to make sure we're at full capacity to do what we do best. Let's see if I can stop sharing. That's a bit for Evolve. Again, most of what we do is biotech and medtech. Your background from education can vary very drastically on what you're looking to do, but I can assure you everything we do here is very rewarding. Everyone is very eager to come into work. We hear rumors that other companies are having people just not show up. We have people here that show up every day. In fact, I've had some interns in the past that had roles. One guy named Jay, he had a job, he quit his job just to come back and work at Evolve again. He starts on Monday. So it's a great testament to what we do here. We've got very strong culture and very diverse workforce.
Perfect. Thank you so much for sharing, your company, your own work. We can all tell that you're very motivated, you're very dedicated to the work you do, and that makes all the difference for a job seeker who's looking to connect with you. So everyone, we are open for Q&A. So please send in your questions to the chat box. I'll be seeing them here in the group chat. While we start getting questions in, something I would like to ask, just because we do have the time, and it gives job seekers a great perspective when they hear about your own story. So Florence and Matt, if you could both talk about your own experience, educational background, which may be totally different. You may have not even been close to biotech, or everyone has a different pathway. So definitely we'd love to hear from you. If you could please share about yourself, that would be great. So Florence or Matt, let's have Matt go first.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I mentioned again, I have a background in mechanical engineering. I also have my MBA, but I got that after I started working. Right out of college, I worked for a company called Abbott Labs, working at the Abbott Vascular division. Very large company, $90 billion company, Fortune 100 company with 90,000 people, huge. But it was fantastic for my early years. Those were my formative years in my career, and I learned a lot of good processes. Understanding how to do things correctly, understanding how to work with other people effectively was very huge for me. I started as a manufacturing engineer working third shift, midnight to 9 a.m. It was something I could never do now, but I was young and eager at the time and it worked out. It was kind of a baptism by fire role. From there, I was a production supervisor, which has helped me a lot here at Evolve. I had a group of about 25 people working for me. All of them are older than me, which is fun. After that, went back into engineering, was an R&D engineer designing some medical devices for a while. I got a patent, which is kind of fun. Did project management after that for a strategic compliance group at Abbott, and then worked in quality, both for quality system, all that stuff that the FDA requires, and quality engineering to make sure that the products we've built aren't going to kill anybody. I'm looking at a lot of risk. Most of that was in Southern California, and then moved up to the Bay Area about 6 years ago. After Abbott, worked at a startup. The large company is really good when you're young. I kind of got ready for something new, and living in the Bay Area, it's all about startups. So went to a startup, and that's how I met Evolve as well. We were actually Evolve was a contract manufacturer for the startup Outset Medical, building dialysis equipment. So it's always been within medical device fields, but not always manufacturing, not always engineering. Probably the largest things that have helped my career have been my program management role and my MBA. Like I said, most of what you do that's challenging when you first start out is technical. As you progress, the issues become less hard skill related and more soft skill related. There's a really good book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. It's about a person that kind of peaks and works harder and harder and harder, but fails to advance because they're not seeing the human factor. And so I think for me, that's one of the big things I would stress to anyone that's looking for a new job. Again, behavioral is huge. Hungry, humble, and people smart. Our core values are on our website. We review ourselves against those core values. We interview against those core values. To us, it's not just a nice marketing thing. It's actually how we behave. And if you don't behave that way, we don't want you to be part of our team. So it's a big one for us. So study hard, get a good education, but again, make sure the people side of things is prevalent, because that's really helped me in my career quite a bit.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing that, Matt. Florence, you have the board.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's a very good story, Matt. I love it. So for me personally, I have been in solar industry for most of my work life. So before I actually started working in the industry, I was doing my PhD, and I've always had the idea that I would be an academic. But I don't know, something changed after I submitted my PhD dissertation and defended and whatnot. I'm like, I don't want to be an academic anymore. So despite doing a PhD, which most people would go into R&D type of role if they do work in the industry, I actually wanted to look for something that will complement the R&D skill set that I have. So as a PhD student, I was really focusing on improving the efficiency of our solar cells, but we don't really think much about manufacturability or cost. So when there's an opportunity that is a manufacturing engineering role that is open at SunPower, which was the company that I've been with for quite some time, I kind of jumped on that, and I actually relocated to the Philippines, which is where our factory was, still is, and for SunPower. And I was there for 4 years as an expat. And that was a really great experience, being on site where things are happening in manufacturing and seeing how things done, just like what Matt has said, learning the processes of how to do things right. That is definitely, it has formed a strong foundation for the later part of my career. And I was driving cost reduction at the manufacturing sites. And so I get to kind of see the business side of things a little bit more, because I have to understand why we have to do cost reduction, understand our competitors, what are they doing and whatnot. And I started to think, you know what, I don't want to be an engineer. And so I decided that I want to do more on the business side of things. And I was actively looking for roles that will allow me to make that step, make that move. And somehow it's great in the sense that there's quite a lot of internal movement opportunity. So I was able to have a role created for me in program management in the headquarters here in San Jose. So I relocated here about, I want to say 8 years now, 8 years ago at SunPower headquarters, where I got to do program management. So in that, I was managing R&D programs. I was managing JV programs as well. So that's also very interesting. And I kind of agree with Matt that the program management role actually is a great stepping stone for those who are in engineering role and want to transition into business roles, because it's a pretty big step. It's a pretty big switch. The beauty of being in program manager is you get to work with so many different business units and departments that you kind of get a window to see like what they do and kind of build your knowledge that way slowly, rather than throw you in the deep end and do businessy stuff that you have probably no idea on how to do as an engineer. You get to see from a program manager standpoint. And actually that was a great stepping stone. And then after that, I went into marketing because, it was actually suggested to me by the CEO of the company. He's like, my career aspiration had been to become a GM of a business unit. So he's like, you need to go into marketing. And I was like, marketing? Like back then, I still didn't really know what marketing was all about. In my mind, marketing was all fluffy, beautiful brochure and blah, blah, blah. But in fact, marketing is a lot more than that. It's about demand generation. It's about customer experience. It's a lot of technical stuff and as well as statistics and operational stuff as well that I found it really fascinating. I would say that that would be the other key cornerstone that formed my career trajectory. And I really enjoy that role. I'm just gonna quickly skip through because I'm here telling you my whole life story. Eventually I left SunPower, I did my own startup, and my startup is to help people switch career because I see that as a pain point. If you think about it, all of us basically chose our degree when we're still a teenager. We don't really know what we want to do. Our parents help us in a big way, right? At least my parents did. You're gonna be an engineer, and I chose engineer.
I totally agree with that.
Yes, so I just want everyone here to know that that is not the end of it. If you don't want to be an engineer, you can totally be something else. But that transition is not going to be easy, but it's doable. So I was really passionate in helping people with that because I personally went through that myself. So I did a startup and that startup didn't work out. So then I joined another startup, which is now Enovix. So I joined Enovix about a year ago and I get to do business development and corporate strategy. And now I get to do hiring, which kind of is related to my previous startup. So I feel like my whole career has been, if from an outsider standpoint, it's been all over the place. But from my own standpoint, I want to become a GM of a business unit. So to me, all the moves are kind of very intentional so that I get to work in different functions. So eventually I can become a GM. So that's my life story.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And that sort of answers some questions that many people may have on the line. Now, let me start getting to some of the questions. The number one question I'm getting, I had about, I'd say 13 people ask me this question regarding internship programs. Now, do you both know what internship programs you have, whether they're technical, non-technical? You could both comment on that just so our viewers can learn more about that. And I would also like to make a note. We will try to get to all of your questions today. Unfortunately, we are down on time and it's a popular event. We have 142 people on the line right now. So, but at the end, we will be sharing the contact information for both of our guests here today. Please contact them with any further questions you have, or be bold and just shoot them a resume. You never know what can happen. But yeah, let's move on. Let's talk about internships.
Well, yeah, I can tackle that one because we're working with Ohlone right now. So we're working with the engineering team to get a few different interns right now. In fact, we're going through their resumes and setting up interviews. We usually have 2 to 4 interns a summer. In the past, we've been open to anybody. In fact, one of our best interns, he found us on LinkedIn and sent our CEO a message saying, hey, we want a job. We said, great, come on board. It really is, victor goes to the bold. So go for it, don't hold back. Just be respectful when you do. Most of our internships are technical, usually around engineering projects or about efficiency improvement projects. The ones that we have this summer are mostly around, well, now ramping up for COVID manufacturing. A lot of the production support processes we have and a lot of automation and going to paperless systems. But again, we usually have about 3 to 4 a summer. However, we are very open to having interns around the year. While summer is the hot time to do it, we are happy to have, even as a part-time, internships in fall, winter, and spring. Again, it's always a good idea to contact us through our website that has the best channels. Anything you send on our actual website in that box in the bottom, it actually goes to me. It goes to our HR person and myself. So it's not just some weird mystery box, it actually gets seen and we'll respond to you.
Yeah, and at Enovix, we also typically have internship programs throughout summer. And I would say, they are mostly technical roles as well, either in process engineering, mechanical engineering, equipment engineering type of settings. So yeah, that's my answer.
Mhm.
Perfect. Thank you for that. Now, another question that I'm getting from many of our viewers is how can they enter the industry? Now, we have a lot of people. I want to give my own example. I was a computer science student for about a year and a half before I totally switched. Didn't even want to be near engineering, and I went to public sector. I went to public policy. I went to economic development. So total switch right there. But we do have many people asking, you know, if we're coming from a different background, what is their in? How can they get into working at a company like yours?
Lawrence, you want to go first? I keep on going first, but I feel like it's your turn.
Sure. I think look for roles that you can jump right in, despite the fact that you may not have the industry backgrounds. There are certain roles that does not require industry background. Like a lot of our equipment engineer roles, I think we're not really looking for people with battery backgrounds, for example. But there are some roles that where battery backgrounds is super important, like the NPI, the new product introduction type of role, or R&D role. So my advice would be for you to look for roles where the background may not be as important components, but it's more about either the technical skill or the soft skill, like Matt has emphasized quite a lot. I totally agree that the soft skill is also very important. So that would be my advice.
Yeah, take whatever you can get at first to get your foot in the door. My first role again was a midnight to 9 a.m. Not glamorous at all, but it set me up for my whole career. We're hiring people right now that are a lot of people that have been laid off with the outbreak. So we have a lot of people that are from hospitality, waitresses, bartenders. We have one person that worked at Chipotle. But as it happens, Chipotle has pretty good line assembly of burritos, but you can kind of translate to the same type of speed and hard work and consistency to manufacturing. We've had, again, we hired about 25, 30 people in the last few weeks. We've actually had a few people that they just stepped up. They were always willing to help. They were always eager to learn more. And they've actually already been promoted. Even though it was a temporary position, they've been promoted. They're now a production lead just because of their work ethic. Being able to take on new tasks is huge. That flexibility is a big thing. At that point, if you can find a company you want to work for, a lot of times it's more important than the type of work you're doing is who you're working with or who you're working for, right? So on that one,
I really agree with that. Who you're working for, yes, huge difference.
And Florence, your examples of you doing everything under the sky, right? That's fantastic. That again, that's my background too. Very diverse. If you look at our website, I made the website. I have no idea how to make the websites, but you figured out YouTube is your best friend, and you kind of just make it work.
Yeah, we live in a digital age, and you know our event here is just a great example of that. So please do take advantage of any of the resources that are available to you. We are getting a lot of plugs in our chat. Tina Kapoor has shared some resources from the city of Fremont. Andrew Stoll is my colleague at Mission College, is also available to take your calls and your emails. Teresa Chapman from Ohlone Staffing, powered by Slingshot Connections, is also available. I also want to comment that all of the career centers, although we may be closed in physically, we are available to serve you. So please reach out to us. We do host many events. We have workshops for resume building, interview tips, LinkedIn. So there are a lot of resources out there that you can take advantage of. It's just a matter of reaching out. So let's move on to our next question. This is a question that does come up often, and I do want to see if you guys can address this. But do you have opportunities available for international students and people on F1 visas? And I know this is a question that may be one that you may have to get back to people on, but definitely I did want to put that out there.
Yeah, we have someone right now from Ireland, actually. So we have I'll mess up the type of visa that it, you know, if I try to say what type of visa it was, but it was definitely a student visa or a graduate student visa for training. He's been with us for 9 months now, so he's got about 3 more months. It's a 12-month visa, and it's been great. It's been great to have him, and I know he's learned a lot here as well. So yeah, absolutely.
I do not know the answer to this question. As far as Enovix goes, I will have to check and get back to you. But I imagine if it's the right person with the right personality and skills and whatnot, we can definitely make things happen.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much for that. Another question we have, just to sort of get the conversation going, a lot of the positions that you both mentioned today were technical. Obviously, that would be the case. But can you both comment on some of the technical roles you are hiring for, or you may be hiring for in the future? This also sort of, this also sort of goes with the people who are trying to get into the company in one way and then potentially transitioning into a role that they may be interested in. So please, if you could both comment on that.
Sure. So for non-technical, we have roles, even the assembler role, it sounds technical because you're building medical devices, but building a pouch with COVID testing stuff in it, again, anyone can do it. And again, it's a good foot in the door. A lot of times we have roles in HR that are available. I think we have an HR role opening up in May. We also have a need for a sales admin, making sure we coordinate with all our customer relations and buy the right people donuts and things like that. So they're always coming and going. I think for us, most of what we do is technical, so there's more of them that are technical, but there certainly are non-technical roles as well.
Yeah, similar to Evolve at Innovate, we have right now we're about to open a role for the head of people operations, so that's a HR type of role. Further down the road, let's say Q3, Q4, we will be looking for a proper talent acquisition manager, so that I'm not just acting it anymore. I can just pass it to a professional doing it, even though I love doing what I'm doing right now. And then we are currently looking for supply chain and procurement manager. We're looking for buyer. We're looking for the head of business development. So we definitely have some non-technical role open. Again, check out our website. And I think just like what Matt said, the operators, even though it sounds technical, I think you don't need to have a technical background to be in the technician role. For example, we do have people who is from accounting, for example, who's joining us as a technician, and she actually is getting promoted, and now she's like almost an engineer basically. So.
Yeah, my quality technician, his last job was the Lexus dealership. He was the guy that parked cars. He's doing great here. A lot of what we do, I'm guessing Florence, you're the same, is we don't expect you to know what you're doing when you get here, unless it's a higher up role. We'll teach you when you get here.
Perfect. So we do have a few more minutes for a few more questions. One of the questions that I got, what does a typical work schedule look like working at both of your companies? I mean, I know you may have some roles that'll be the typical 9 to 5, but if you could comment on that, that would be great.
Let's go for it.
So for technicians and operators in the line, I believe that we start at 7, I want to say, maybe 6 a.m. and work until 4:30. I'm not too clued in about the break times and lunch break and whatnot. We run 2 shifts per day, and well, when it was not shelter in place, we used to run 2 shifts a day, 7 days a week. And then for non-operator kind of role, like the people engineer and whatnot, it's pretty standard. There's no set hours. You come in and you work and then you go home. It's pretty flexible, I would say. Most people probably come in by around 8:30, and they leave at like 5, 6. Yeah.
Yeah, we're about the same for our office folk. Most of our production, if its first shift starts at 7, our 2 shift operations. I know most of you on the line are probably morning people, so it starts at 5:30 in the morning. If you're not, second shift starts at 2:30 in the afternoon.
Perfect. That sounds great. Good to know. Last question. This is one that we typically get from attendees. What are things you're looking for? So in the job candidate, what are some things that stand out to you? Whether it's a resume, something you'd like to see during an interview, something you'd like to see on their LinkedIn profile. Just some tips that you may have for job seekers today.
That's a good question.
So I had to screen a lot of resumes. I'll give some tips on what I do. So there is, the urban legend is that you get only 7 seconds for a resume, for someone to screen your resume, I would say that's kind of true. Unless something caught my eye, then I might spend more time on the actual resume. What I usually look for, first thing is your education background. It depends on whether the role is entry level or more of a managerial level or VP and whatnot. But if it's an entry level, looking at your educational background to make sure that if it's a new college grad, that your study field matches with what we're looking for in terms of the opening. If it's something that's more require a bit more experience, then I would look at the number of experience that you have. Because if we're looking for 5-year experience and you're a fresh college grad, your resume is not going to get past that 7 seconds. Or even if you have 1 or 2 years, it's not going to get past that 7 seconds. I would also look at your first job title and then your first bullet point, because that to me is like a deciding factor to see where you have been last and how I think that might transfer or not transfer to the opening that we have. So look at the job titles, look at the first bullet points. So that's what I look for in that first 7 to 10 seconds. And if something caught my eye, then I will look at the thing more carefully.
That's about right for me as well. That's spot on. A couple things to avoid. I saw a resume recently that was, I think, more black than white because they tried to cram so much information into it. Please don't do that. I don't want to read that, and I usually don't. At that point, it's a turnoff because it tells me that you can't provide me a good summary of what's a priority in a concise way, and you're just a shotgun approach it, which is bad. So getting the right message across in a simple and clear way that usually has a lot of white space is great. Unless you're looking for a job like one of ours, 1 page should do it. I know that it's really important to tell your story and to, showcase yourself. It's not about saying less, it's about saying more of the things that are most important. The other one I really look for, coming back to the soft skill bit, and this is a tricky one, is I look through and see if there's any signs of humility. Because to me, that is the hardest thing to do and to find and the most important. So if you brag about all the things you did, and this goes for interview questions too. If there's a lot of things that was you single-handedly defeated, the evil empire or something, I'm going to think that's not real. But if you say that any failures were yours, but any successes were the team's, that's always a good thing. So if you can say you're part of a team and here's our success, here's my contribution, that's great. If you say I did everything because everyone else was an idiot, I don't want to work with you because I'll probably be the idiot you're going to complain about for your next interview.
Yeah, and I fully agree with the white space on resume.
Yeah.
Lots of white space, please. When I see a resume that's just all crammed in, just like what Matt said, it's a turn off. And the other tip for the interview, during the interview, what kind of turns me off personally is not answering the question. So I would be asking a question and then you would just tell me something else that totally doesn't answer my question. And then I have to find ways to redirect you to get what I want or what I need in order for me to assess. So please answer the question as succinctly as you can.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We are just at the point where we will be wrapping up our event today. Thank you both for being here today. I just want to let Matt know specifically that I personally am one of the most humble people you'll ever meet. So thanks for giving that tip today. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I do have a few final notes that I do want to share with everyone. Please do not worry. I'm getting many messages from people asking for contact information. Do not worry. I will be sending out an email to all attendees for our event today, and we'll also be posting this information on our Facebook page. So please go like and subscribe and share our Ohlone College Tri-Cities Career Center Facebook page. And Career Bytes also has a YouTube channel now where I will be uploading all of these videos from all of our events. This is our second event. We will continue to have events. At some point, we will have events themed for specific industries, for specific causes. So please stay tuned. Something I do want to mention, the email I will be sending out, it'll include a link to the recording for today's event and the YouTube channel. We'll have the contact information for both of our guests today. We'll also have a link to some of the local resources. So we will be linking you to your local career center. Please reach out to them for any support, attend more of these online events and workshops, and we'll also include any of the presentations and flyers if they're available from this event today. So please stay tuned for that. If you have any other questions, I'm sorry, we are out of time, but please reach out to the guests yourself. This is perfect. This is a great way to connect with people without having to shake their hand and worrying about having sweat on your hands. So virtually meet with people, get in touch with them, network. Staying at home may be difficult, but this is a way out of it. Prepare yourself for what lies ahead. So stay tuned for more events. I do want to thank everyone for being here today. I want to thank Tina Kapoor from City of Fremont for being my co-host. I want to thank Andrew Solis for Mission College. I want to thank Daniel Newell, my director, for also being here today. And I'd like to thank Mayor Lily May for giving us a surprise appearance. Always nice to have you here. So thank you all, and we will see you next time. Goodbye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.